Okay, finally, we get to film this episode. I don't know if you're following my socials or not, but all the way through the week, I've been speaking about how my computer has been acting the absolute bollocks. And every time I've gone to film this episode, it's completely spazzed out on me and has just not allowed me to be able to film it at all. So it's gotten really, really annoying. I'm finally sitting down. Usually my podcasts get released at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. This one is going to be released a little bit later, still on a Friday, purely because of the turmoil that I've had. Turmoil throughout the week trying to get this episode put together. I actually had it pretty much filmed. I had maybe 4 minutes left in the film to finish up and yesterday, and it completely spazzed out and I didn't get any of it. So here we go. Let's pray, fingers crossed, that this one works and we're able to get it up and live and ready to go. So we're going to talk about why most men over the age of 30 fail to lose fat and how we can fix it. What I've noticed, particularly because I've just hit 30, I'm going 31 this year, and also I've worked with a lot of guys who are just above this age too. Most guys, when they get to 30 or over, they try to lose fat, but they're not able to stick with it, or they end up back at square one for whatever reason. Most of the time, we'll put it down as our metabolism has slowed down, we're getting older, and this is just part of our life now. And I'm here today to tell you that that's not the case. Absolutely not the case. It's also not because you're lazy. It's not necessarily because you're following a bad plan. It could literally just be a case of your lifestyle has changed a little bit. And that's what we're going to go into a little bit. I want to kind of talk about the three main mistakes that most guys are making at the moment and how you can fix them. I'm going to debunk them today and we're going to smash it out. So let's dive straight into it. Why does fat loss feel harder at the age of 30? Now, a couple of common misconceptions that you may have heard, you may have said yourself, is that your metabolism has slowed down or struggling to keep up and train the same way as you did back when you were younger. You used to always be in shape and all of a sudden now you're not able to do it. You used to be able to go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. Now you're struggling to get in even 1 or 2 days in the week. These are some of the common misconceptions, some of the things you will hear people say if they're over 30. This is part of my life now. It's not. It doesn't have to be. It's not because your metabolism has slowed down. There's been big changes in your life, in your lifestyle, in your responsibilities, in your stress, and even in overall recovery to what you do on a day-to-day basis. That's what we're going to break down. So if you think about it, remember your life back when you were 20, in your 20s even, versus your life now. I watched a reel recently, and it was talking about how a man's life, he's in the hardest period of his life between the age of 25 and 35, because so much shit changes. And I'll use myself as an example here. When I was in my 20s, my whole life was based around training. I used to wake up and I'd eat because I knew I was training. My nutrition was to eat to get in shape. I'd go to the gym, I'd come home, and if I was working, I'd go to work, I'd do my work, and I'd come home and I'd have plenty of time to rest, recover. I had no extra responsibilities. There wasn't any massive amount of bills that I had to be paying. I was living with my parents at the time, so obviously they took care of rent, give them a little bit of money towards it. And all I had to do was train. That was literally my whole life when I was 20. So training back then was a lot easier for me because I was able to go 4 or 5 days a week, 6 days a week if I wanted. And it was much easier to do it. I used to follow a thing back then called the bro split. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. If you are listening to this, the bro split is when you train 5 days, sometimes 6, depending on how I was feeling. I used to always train minimum 5 days every week. And I'd do chest on Monday. And I'd do loads of chest exercises. Then I'd do back on Tuesday, loads of back exercises. Legs on Wednesday, shit ton of leg exercises, standard enough leg day. Shoulders on Thursday, and then biceps and triceps on Friday. And I'd throw abs in there a little bit too. And if I felt like doing an extra day, I'd go in on the 6th day and I'd go in and just do abs and cardio. Smash it out of it. And that was the way I used to train in my 20s. And that was really good for me back then because I could recover like a motherfucker. Because I wasn't stressed from all the other stuff going on in my life. Now, if we look at my life now, I'm in my 30s. I'm a little bit over 30 now, going 31 this year. I now don't have as much freedom as I once did to be able to do all of that. Now I have a partner who I love so much, but I have to give her some of my time. So that's time that I wouldn't have been spending in my 20s that I was using for training and recovery outside of the gym that I'm now not able to do because I'm in a relationship. I now have a daughter who also takes up maybe 90% of my time when I'm not in the gym and working. I run my own business now. I have 2 businesses actually. I've got an online business and I've got an in-person business. and I do pretty much 3 times, maybe 4 times the amount in a day that I would have done in my 20s. So obviously I can't train the same way as I did when I was in my 20s. And where a lot of guys go wrong, and where you're probably going wrong right now, is that you're still trying to train like you did in your 20s. You're still trying to get to the gym 6 days a week. But with all the extra stress that you have from your life outside of the gym, you're just not recovering from your 6 days of training. So you're nearly undoing all the hard work that you do when you're in the gym, and you're going backwards every single week rather than going forwards in the direction that you need to go to. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rest and stress reduction are the most important things you can do when it comes to your training. So number one, just to kind of put that out there, just start with it. Old methods from your 20s, that they don't work with your reality and your situation right now. The situation you're in right now is very different to what it was when you were 20. For most people, maybe it's still the same for some, but for me, and I know for maybe 95% of the guys that I work with, that is the case. It's different now. So let's talk about the 3 mistakes. These are the 3 biggest mistakes that people are making, guys are making, you're probably making, that is keeping you in that, making weight loss so much harder for you when you're over the age of 30. So number one is this all or nothing cycle. So the all or nothing mindset, at this point, you've probably heard about it because most coaches who all say the same thing on Instagram are all talking about this all or nothing mindset, but it is a very real thing. And what an all or nothing mindset could look like is 1 week, you could be absolutely spot on Monday to Friday, absolutely spot on. But then the next week, you're not on at all. You don't do anything. You say, if I'm not in it, all in, then I'm not in it at all. Whereas the problem with the all or nothing cycle is it kills momentum completely. Like your progress is going to stop, and then it's just, you're going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. So what I get most of my guys to do, and what I've been putting into practice over the last few months since my daughter came along, is just this consistency, but also being consistent on weeks where things aren't necessarily as good as you would like them to be. So an example of that would be, instead of aiming to try and get into the gym at the start of the week for 5-6 days a week, you tell yourself, I'm going to try and do 3 workouts this week, because you know damn well that you'll be able to get a minimum of 3 workouts done. And if you get to the end of the week and you have time and you want to do an extra one, then you can. That's no problem if time permits. But if you don't feel like a failure because you haven't done your 4 workouts that you said you'd do at the start of the week. And this is a consistent cadence every single week. It's the very same for your nutrition. Yes, of course, you're not going to be able to be in a deficit all the time because you might be busy, you might be eating out. Maybe you can be in a deficit, but instead of being in a deficit where you're eating loads of whole foods and being really healthy, maybe you're in a deficit and you have to use one of those pure power meals and you put it into the microwave one of the nights in a week because you're a little bit busier. All or nothing, move away from it completely, because that's the thing that is probably most likely keeping you stuck right now. The second mistake is just forgetting about recovery and stress. And I think this should really, I should have, when I was making out the notes for this video, I should have put mistake number 1 as being ignoring recovery and stress, because this is the biggest thing, right? This is one of the, like, make this the keynote. If you take anything from this video away, this is the thing. Your stress tolerance is going to be way lower now than it was when you were 20. Guaranteed, because you're already stressed no matter what. So when you were 20, you don't have a lot of stresses. You might not have a massive career. You might not necessarily have a family. You might not necessarily have a load of bills hanging over your head. Now you have all that stuff already before you go into your training. So if we think about the stress cup, I've done a video in the past on the stress cup. If you haven't watched it, please do go back. Can't remember the name of the title. I'll grab it for you and put it in the show notes or in the description. But go back and watch that video. It's a stress cup will be like how much stress you already have in your cup. If you put a little bit more stress into it, the cup is going to overflow out of the side. And if the cup overflows, you're going to burn out. You're going to crash. You're not going to recover from your training. And you might as well just do nothing as try and do more. So if you think about it like this, if you've got a high training load, your sleep is really poor all the time, you live off caffeine, you have work stress already built up, your family stress is already up there, then of course your progress is going to stall in the gym. So make sure you make priority an absolute number 1 staple, right? It's more important than your training if we're thinking about it on a logical sense. So if you're super stressed, if you're not recovering right now, you're not going to make any progress. And realistically, men over 30, they don't think about recovery. They forget about it because we put everyone else first and then we worry about ourselves after. But you can't pour from an empty cup. You've probably heard that saying been thrown around by other people before. Genuinely, if you practice recovery actually have a sleep routine. I've done loads of videos on this in the past. Go back and watch them or ask me for the link and I'll send it to you. If you put that stuff into practice, you will recover so much better and you're going to start seeing progress again. That is a guarantee, my guarantee to you from this video. And the third mistake, this is the last one I'll go into, is just maybe you just have the wrong plan for your life right now. So as I said before, if you're following a bro split now and you're working 7 days a week and you only have 30 minutes 3 times a week to get into the gym, why are you trying to follow a bro split? Why are you trying to train 5 days a week? It doesn't fit your lifestyle. So your plan may be wrong for the life you have right now. So it doesn't mean you're following the wrong plan. It means you're not following the plan that's specific to you. So if we were to use like me as an example, when I bring people into my program, when new guys join the Life Lift Repeat project, I plan the program around their lifestyle, not the other way around. It's not generic. I'll give them a template of a thing that works. It's like this. I've seen this work for guys in your demographic, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect for you. Try this for a week or two. If you don't like it, let's change a few things around. And that's what you need to do. You need to play around with these things. You need to find a plan that works around your lifestyle. Plans that are going to require you to be in the gym hours and hours a week and spend even more time outside the gym, like prepping your food hours and hours on end, probably aren't going to work for you in your 30s, unless you're a pro bodybuilder and you're competing, which most guys, particularly if you're listening to this podcast, I would imagine you're not a pro bodybuilder. You're not going to be able to do all that stuff. So remember, you're going to start saying to yourself that it's about willpower. I don't have the willpower to stick to a diet. You start talking to yourself negatively on it over a longer period of time. But it isn't about willpower at all. It's about, if you can find something that fits your lifestyle, then you will. And if you can fit it in your lifestyle, you will win. You will get the best results possible. So that's where a lot of people go wrong. They start telling themselves that I've tried everything. It hasn't worked for me. So I'm never going to be able to fix this. This is just who I am. This is part of my life. That's not true. I've seen so many people come into my program and they've been in a place where they're like, well, I've tried everything, Gavin. This isn't going to work. And I'm really skeptical about this shit. And then 2-3 months down the line, they're back in the best shape of their life. They're feeling great. And they're only training 2 or 3 days a week. They're not spending hours and hours a week meal prepping. It's just you need to find something that fits your plan. So I want to give some examples of maybe 1 or 2 of my clients who have had really, really good results just by doing the very basics. So if we think about, and if you follow my Instagram, you'll be able to see the before and after photos of these guys. And just going to drop my Instagram link into the description on this video. But if we look at the likes of some of my clients, so I'm going to use Brian, one of my clients, as an example. So when Brian came to me, it was about a little over a year ago now, but Brian is still with me now. He's still working with me. He was in a pretty bad place. He wasn't feeling great. He wasn't really training much at all. So just getting to do a little bit was good for him. But when he was training, he was a little bit unsure of what he was doing in the gym. So he thought he needed to do more training and he needed to keep smashing it over and over again. And he thought with his nutrition, he needed to eat healthy. Whereas he didn't need to eat healthy. He just needed a strategy that fitted his lifestyle with what he was doing with his nutrition. So what we did with Brian is we said to Brian, well, let's start off maybe trying to get 2 to 3 gym sessions done a week. When you get with that, if you feel like it, we can add a 4th session in. So even now, a year later, Brian is in this point where he's an orange belt in my program, which is like 2 belts off of the top belt. It's where most guys don't get to. He's at a point now where he's like, some weeks he might train twice now. Other weeks he might train 4 times, and it just depends on how busy he is with his life, because he's got a really busy lifestyle. He works crazy hours. He runs his own business, and he needs to be able to even go away. Like sometimes he'll stay in a hotel and he won't have access to a microwave. So he needs to be able to look at what he's doing with his nutrition as well. We've put all of this stuff in place for him now. And at the moment, he's training maybe 2 to 3 days a week. He's had a holiday every second week, and he's still managed to stay relatively lean. He's in a gaining phase at the moment as well, but his body fat levels are still quite low. And he actually managed to lose a little over 15, 16 kg, I think it was, in his first couple of months when we were nailing down the fat loss phase. So that's Brian. That's what Brian has done. How can we fix this? This is the last thing that I'm going to go into today. Number 1, we need to build a routine, as I've just said, like what we did for Brian, around your life. Rather than just trying to pull something offline. This is why you can't use ChatGPT to get in shape, because ChatGPT will maybe make you an absolutely fantastic program. It will be great. It will have everything you need, but it might not suit your lifestyle unless you go into great detail telling it what you need. Build something around your life. If you work 5 days a week and you know that you've only got 30 minutes, 3 days a week to get to the gym, please do not try and train 4 or 5 days. Train on the days where you're actually able to make it happen. And if you can, start with full body sessions because you will get the maximum amount of benefit out of your full body sessions. Number 2, your nutrition. You need to make something that you can stick to long term. All right, so we're not talking about following this meal plan that you found online and that's going to fix everything. Literally just keep it simple, right? You need to keep the foods that you like in your diet. I do recommend counting your calories and weighing the bigger foods. Never ask anyone to weigh like sticks of Kinder Bueno or anything like that. That's not what we're trying to do. But if you're having rice, out how much rice you have. So that way when you log it into MyFitnessPal, you know exactly how much rice you have. So you know you're in the right side of the calories. You want to put yourself in a small calorie deficit. To calculate your calorie deficit, take your body weight in pounds, or if you know it in kg, take it in kg, multiply it by 2.2, and that will give it to you in pounds. When you have it in pounds, multiply it by anything between 8 or 10. So say I would usually start from 10 to give you a smallish deficit, and then work your way backwards from there. So that would be your total calories. In terms of protein, make sure you're getting enough protein. We're going to aim for anything between 1.8 and 2 grams per kg of body weight. And make sure you can be flexible. Like make sure you don't have to sacrifice your social life. Make sure you can go out and you can eat at the weekends and you don't feel like shit for doing it. Need to have all that stuff in there so that you can sustain it long term. This is the exact stuff that we put in place for every single person who comes into the Life Lift Repeat project. And finally, the number one problem that I spoke about earlier, make sure this is in check. Manage your stress and recovery like you manage your training. Okay, so if you're in there and you're progressing with your training, you're doing everything right with your training, make sure you do the same with your sleep. Make sure you're trying to get as much sleep, a good quality sleep as you can. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you drink your 2 to 4 liters of water a day. And make sure if you're really, really stressed, that you take time just to wind down a little bit. Give yourself an evening a week where you get to sit down with the missus, if you have a missus, or with the fella, whoever it may be, sit down in the evening, just relax, chill the fuck out. One night a week is plenty. And manage your stress. If you can manage your stress, everything will feel much better. So remember, don't chase perfection. Chasing perfection will get you nowhere. You want to be consistent. Even on the shitty weeks, even when things aren't feeling like the way that you want them to feel. If you're constantly trying to be perfect, you're never going to live up to your own standards. You're trying to be a little bit consistent every single week. One workout done in a week where you feel like you've had a shit week is better than no workouts being done. Remember that. You will win long term if you can stick to the plan when life isn't so good. I had a guy come into my program, Eddie is his name. He was off work for the first 2 weeks that he started in my program and he lost 3 or 4 kg and he was absolutely delighted with himself. Then he went back to work the week after and he put back on a kg and he was feeling shit about himself. And I said, this is fucking great that this has happened, Eddie, because I don't want you to feel like you have to have perfect situations. You have to be able to do it even when things aren't perfect. He has since got himself back on track. He's got a routine that fits around his work now and he's winning. So that's what I want for you. If you've enjoyed this episode and you found value in it, don't forget to share it to a friend, someone who might also find value in it. I really do appreciate you listening along to this point if you're still listening. And for now, thank you very much for listening. Have a fantastic weekend because I will put this out today. I'll speak to you all very soon.